Hi, my name is Rachel. Welcome back to Auxhart Gardening. My friends are here with me today, Bay, Emil, and Abby, to help me harvest potatoes and also show you how to plant potatoes. We're doing this kind of in the reverse order because I have some that are ready to harvest and I'm also putting in another batch to plant for second summer potatoes. So you get to see the full process in reverse. Alright, so this is my potato patch over here. And you can see that it doesn't look super healthy. The plants look like they're kind of dying back. And that is actually what we are looking for when we're looking at when to harvest potatoes. Potatoes will come up and flower, and then a couple of weeks after that, they will start looking a little more dead like this. And that is when you know that you can start harvesting potatoes. And at that point, you can just kind of dig around the base of them to get a gauge for how big your potatoes are. And at that point you can just start harvesting at whatever size potato you want. So when it comes to exactly how to get your potatoes out of the ground, you can use a little shovel to kind of slowly pry them out, or you can just use your hands. You saw that I just barely had to pull the soil back in order to see the potatoes. They're kind of right there at the surface. There's not like a lot of digging that you're going to have to do. Yeah, they're not going to be much deeper than that. They all kind of come up to the surface.
Looks like it's about it.
So this is the harvest that we just got from, I think it's about 8 to 10 plants. These are purple potatoes. I just got the seed potatoes from the store to plant these. And these were planted like late April, I think, is when I planted these. And it is now the middle of June. And so because I have a long season, I can go ahead and start a whole second round of potatoes. So something you'll notice is that a lot of the potatoes just kind of came out with the plants. And there are a few that did not, especially the bigger ones. But we did not have to do a whole lot of digging, like I said, in order to get these out. They mostly were just along the surface. And if you find yourself digging more than a potato deep, you're probably not going to find any more. They do mostly spread out kind of near the surface, and they're not going to be really difficult to get. However, you should still dig around and just check for more. Otherwise, you will have a whole nother potato plant in a few months. And once you've got your potatoes out of the ground, you'll probably want to store them. You'll notice these are kind of covered in dirt, and I don't recommend washing them before you cure them. This is going to be similar to like your onions and garlic type curing, where you want to leave them somewhere to dry out for a few weeks before you go ahead and put them somewhere cool and dark for long-term storage. You'll also notice that some of the potatoes that we harvested were like this size, which is kind of the size you expect a potato to be. And then some of them are this size, which are like those baby potato sized potatoes. And that is because some of them form first and some of them are forming later, and then over time they get bigger. The size is not super related to the edibility. If you like them small, you can harvest them early and they will be tasty and they will be like small potatoes, or you can wait and harvest them later and have big potatoes. So because I have the time in my season to plant 2 rounds of potatoes, what I'm going to do is save all the littlest purple ones that we just harvested and replant those. And then I also have some seed potatoes that I bought to plant for this second round of potatoes. Now you could plant potatoes from the store. We were just talking about that. Sometimes you'll just see them sprout and you can definitely go ahead and plant those. But a lot of times they are sprayed with things that keep them from sprouting. So as a seed potato, they are pretty unreliable. We are going to put potatoes back where we just pulled them from. And some people might tell you not to do that because of crop rotation reasons, but because I recently put a whole lot of compost on that area and I think that it is very full of nutrition, I think putting potatoes back there is fine, especially because I didn't have any pests that were affecting my potatoes. The 2 main reasons that you would rotate your crops are because you have used up a lot of a specific nutrient that plant needs, or because there is a pest in that area. So where I'm just gonna put potatoes right back where they were and restart the cycle.
Hey Rachel, can you cut seed potatoes to make them go farther and get more plants?
Yes. A lot of people will tell you that that is ideal. I would have done that with these, but I didn't have time, because if you're gonna cut them, you want to make sure that you give them time to kind of dry out on the ends. If you're planting like freshly cut potatoes in the ground, it's not guaranteed that they'll get like infected, but there's a high chance of stuff just getting in. So if you cut them a couple of days in advance and give them time to like heal themselves over and form that dry, thick skin, then it's perfectly fine. You'll just want to make sure that you have like an eye on each of the spots that you cut.
And how deep do you plant them?
Not very deep at all. It follows the same rule as other seeds, where you maybe want to plant twice as deep as the size of the thing that you're planting. Although it does depend on the type of potato that you have. Just like tomatoes come in determinate and indeterminate, potatoes do as well. And you'll see videos where people teach you how to dig deep trenches and plant potatoes at the bottom, and then as the plant grows up, you cover more dirt on top of them. And that is for indeterminate varieties that can grow really tall and they'll keep making potatoes. Whereas I have determinate varieties, and they will only put on, like you saw, that one little flush of potatoes, and then they're done. You could do the burying method with them, but you would not get more potatoes out of them in the long run.
Thank you.
Yep. So additionally, you might wonder, is there a point past where you can plant it? If they like sprouted in your pantry, like can they be too far gone to plant? And the answer is, as long as they don't look moldy, no. If they look fine and alive, go ahead and plant them. And that's even sort of a head start if they're a little more grown. So Abby and Bay are working on the spacing of potatoes right now. I am doing a couple of rows here, and the spacing, like I said, you can harvest them early for tiny ones. So if you just want tiny potatoes, you could plant them closer together. And if you're really looking for big potatoes, then you're going to want to put them a little farther apart. But this right here is about 12 inches apart, which is maybe the closest that I would plant my potatoes. And I think this is about the spacing that I used for the ones that we just harvested. So you can kind of use that as a gauge to determine how close you want to plant your potatoes.
Like right about there?
Yeah, right about there.
So I'm just kind of putting it in line with the golden one?
Yeah. And right now we're just placing them. We will bury them later. Whoa. Yeah, that one would have been great to pull apart. But, you know, sometimes I'm a bit of a lazy gardener, and things still turn out okay. And that is really all there is to it. We stuck the potatoes in the ground, put the mulch back on top, and now I'm just going to make sure that they stay watered. Potatoes are pretty hands-off. You just make sure they stay watered until the day when you notice they start dying back and decide to check and harvest them. If you guys have any extra questions, please leave them in the comments below. And thank you so much for watching. Until next time, we all wish you happy gardening.